Hello, my lovely people from the YPHA Launch Success Challenge program, and many other strangers on the internet that happen to find this video. You have just come back from the Netherlands after learning about branding, product design, how Flora Media prints their plant labels, and plant photography. And the following day, you took some pictures of your own brand new plant that you'll be launching later next year. So you've now received those images back, and I just wanted to go through how you could practice editing them. Some of you will be well skilled in Photoshop and Lightroom and you'll know all about that, but others of you may have never done any photo editing before. So this video is just going to be how you can do that, and a thank you to the programming gods. There is free online software out there that can help you edit your pictures without having to fork out extortionate amounts of money for Adobe. So this is in Lightroom, and this is how I would edit my plant pictures. This is of a dahlia in Beacon Camp's trial garden. And as you can see from all the different edits that I've made on it, you can really convey a few different things with your imagery. This one's kind of more rich, it's darker, perhaps more sultry in its sense. Got the light, bright colours of this one, so this is fun, it's pop. This one isn't true to the original colour, but it really sends that kind of cool tone messaging. And then we've got a much more true to colour type, but it's just been enhanced to grab that texture and those water droplets and to really enhance the detail in the image. So a limited way of doing it, but still kind of a way so that you can really try and start photoshopping things and thinking how you might edit pictures when you're launching your new plant. Using the free software we have in Windows, which is when you click on an image, it comes up looking like this, and you just click at the top center of the screen. You have this little picture with a pencil. Click there to edit the image. It'll take you to this screen, and you can do quite a few adjustments. You can flip it, rotate it. You can do some lightness, some shadows, some exposure, adding the contrast. You can do quite a bit with it, and it's quite fun to mess around with. It's also very easy to do. You can even apply filters to see if you like a certain style at the side, and you can erase spots you don't want, just like this water droplet here. And it's not necessarily amazing, but that's how you can erase stuff in your image. It used to work a lot better actually. I don't know what's happened to it. Okay. So, and then you can always go to the corner of the screen here to reset it, and it will go back to normal. But if you're finding that too limiting and you maybe have a MacBook or something, I don't know what editing software you have free in a MacBook, but there is this website that I found that you can access online. So no matter what you're using to edit your photos on, you can still edit them. And I'm pretty sure it works as well with phones if you get it up on the browser on your phone. There are better phone apps out there if you are just editing them on your phone though. There is the free Adobe versions of Lightroom. It is limited with what you can edit, but it's still better than nothing, and Adobe is one of the best editing softwares out there. So if you go onto Google and you type in Photopea, I don't even know how I'm going to pronounce that, Photopea, this should be one of the first websites that come up, and it's photopea.com, and you can drag and drop them into the space and they come up. Then you'll notice down the side that we have all of these tools that we can use. So if you want to just move things on the screen, that's your canvas in the background there. If you just wanted to move things, the mouse symbol is your move tool. If you wanted to make a square selection, that is how you're going to do that. Lasso tool is great for cutting things out. If you wanted to create a white background from an image like this, you cut it out, make a selection by refining the edge like that, and it cuts it out. And you click new layer and OK. To deselect, you do Control D for Windows. I don't know what it is on Mac, I'm sorry. And the magic wand tool can also select certain parts of the This symbol here is the crop tool if you want to make the image shorter and smaller like that, and it should change your canvas size as well. If you want to find a specific colour in the image, the eyedropper tool is how you can do that. And it will give you the hex code and the RGB code of that colour. The spot healing brush tool is quite useful, especially if you've got any dirt on your image or on any of the petals, or there's an imperfection like a cut in the petal that you want to cut out. So just select the size like that. And let's see if we can remove. So it's selected that area and it is tried to heal it. It's not done it amazingly, but it can remove small parts. If you don't like it and it's not healed it properly, you can click Ctrl Z to undo the heal. Next thing is the brush tool if you wanted to draw. And it's selecting the colour here because that's the colour we chose in our eyedropper. If I wanted to select a new colour with the eyedropper tool, I can just click there and I can go back to the brush and it'll give me the new colour. So this is the dodge and burn tool. This is what you use in high-end photo retouching, and that's how the models can get super clear skin without using frequency separation. So basically what they do for that is the shadows they make lighter, and any really striking highlights on like spots or areas of the skin that are too shiny, they make darker, and then it gives the overall appearance that the skin is matte or one texture, even though they haven't removed the texture, they've just softened the appearance of the texture. So the dodge tool makes things lighter, so you can add some highlights here and there. The burn tool burns, so you can add some shadows here and there to things, and then you can also change the hardness. It's got some default ones to select from, so it's not as hard. You've got text if you wanted to write something on there, like this. And if you want to delete it, you just drag it down to the bottom to the bin. Next up, we have the pen tool. You can click then shape and then click fill, and it creates a shape that you can then manipulate. Path select goes along with the pen tool, so you can create stuff with the pen, and then path select is just selecting bits of that. So then you can move it around. I feel like that's pretty simple. We've got our pre-made shapes. Move tool, so you can move around the canvas. It's really useful if you want to zoom in, which is below it, and move like that. And that's kind of all the things you need to know about that side. And then if we go onto the other side, show you. At the bottom here, we do have some tools as well. So this is the trash can for delete. This is the new layer. This is a new folder. And these are adjustment layers, which are probably the main thing you're going to use when you're photo editing. Then we have a mask. We have layer styles, which means you can overlay different layers and they'll have like a different effect based on what blending option you choose. This is very good for when you're creating mock-ups of something, because then you can overlay a white t-shirt with a PNG file of your design, and then if you click multiply, the shadows of the crinkles of the t-shirt will show through onto the design, but you'll still get your design laid out on the t-shirt, so it gives it a more photorealistic effect without actually having to print out the design and take a picture of it in real life. So I always recommend, if you are using this, something like this, to go on the background and then drag it to the new layer tab, which will then duplicate the background and create a new layer. You can rename the new layer, it doesn't really matter, but then at least you have got the background to come back to if something goes wrong. I'd recommend for each adjustment you make a new layer as well, so then you're not completely destroying your hard work if something does happen. So on this layer, I'm going to add some adjustments. So what I'm going to do is increase the brightness and contrast to make those pop a little bit. And you can see above it, it makes a new layer. If you duplicate the layer, it will double essentially what you have done. So it goes even brighter, it's doubly as bright. You can see it without that layer by clicking the I button, or you can just delete that layer and get rid of it like that if you don't want to see it again. You can also merge it to the layer below that one. So if I merge down, it will merge it onto our second layer, which means I won't be able to then adjust that brightness contrast again, and it's included in that layer. Levels is a good one to play around with because it can give you some really nice effects. If you want it to be a bit more dreamy, or like if you want to produce an image that has text over it, say you were producing a post for social media and you wanted some text, you could do it like that, or you could darken it. You can really like mess around with the levels. The next one is curves, and this one is something that I'll use in every single image. I have presets that use the curves in Lightroom because I think it can create such a nice cinematic effect. What I do is I add the extra dots in there just by clicking the space, and then I can manipulate the dots, and it gives this kind of faded effect that I really like. And then you can make it a bit darker, and it starts to look a bit more editorial, like a catalogue or something you find in a magazine. Exposure, just basically in simple terms, just makes it brighter. Offset to add that fade in, and gamma correction just makes it a little bit darker. So it's starting to look quite vintage, kind of gives Lana Del Rey vibes, kind of that romantic tone to this image, or nostalgic. So when you're using vibrance makes colours that are less dominant in the image, so maybe more of the highlights in this sense, more of the lighter pinks, much more saturated and vibrant, and then saturation affects all pixels in the image. So you can see that we've got that really dark reds coming in. So you might get a more natural effect if you're just adding vibrance, because it'll just affect the colours mainly that are less pronounced. Then hue is another way to correct the colour. So it goes, hue is purple and green. So yeah, purple this side, green this side. And you'll have some images that lean towards green a bit more, and that's because the light where you've taken the image, you've got more green light bouncing around, and so that's what the camera picks up. To make it look a bit more as it is, you can add then purple to counteract that. Again, this is the color balance, so this is what you would do if the image leaned more purpley. You would add in the green, and likewise the other way around, add in the magentas or the purples, and it just makes that tone like a bit more neutral. And then yellow, blue does more of the temperature, but if I want to warm it, I'll drag it down here to the yellows, and then it looks more like a sunny day, a bit more nostalgic, you know, memory kind of vibes. And then if I drag it to the blue, it makes it look colder, but it really affects the reds and how you want the reds to be portrayed as well. So that is something you might want to think about, especially when it comes to warm tone colours. Black and white is self-explanatory. Again, it is black and white. You can these to affect different areas of the image. You can overlay a whole colour on the image using the photo filter, and you can just say colour and have the output. So if I did blue, makes it more blue sepia tone. Yeah, so you can get real different vibes from it. Channel mixer is then another way of mixing colours. I wouldn't bother with colour lookup, we're not really getting into LUTs and stuff, but that is how you can create, or you can import LUTs and presets into things. So for colour grading for film and stuff like that, that's what I would do. I would create a colour lookup table in Photoshop from an image, and then export it as a .cube file, and then upload that into my video editing software so that I can get those kind of color grading on the image. I've done a video on this channel about doing it before, so you can check that out if you're really interested in that. But moving on. Invert, that's pretty self-explanatory, just inverts all the colors. But you can create some really cool effects with invert, like tease people with, like you can just see the shape really of it. And like it might be a good like teaser thing to do, like inverting the images, because then they don't look like how they are. Posterize, threshold, gradient map, if you wanted to add a gradient to it. Let's see. This looks quite nice. And selective colour, I'm not really sure what changes the colour again. That's quite nice actually. The blacks in. Then I'm going to move past masks because I think if you're watching this tutorial, you probably don't want to do masks, anything to do with masks at the moment. And there are other tutorials out there as well. Then you've got your effects and stuff. And you can add some further embellishment to your image, but I don't think you need them. And then after that, when you're happy with your image, you can just, well, it's already put it in a folder for you. You can go and file and then export as, and you probably want it in a higher file size, so PNG, so you can do further editing on the image if you choose. So it's just a higher quality image. It's got more detail to the image, and then JPEG is more compatible for anywhere really, especially for loading speeds for websites and things, and it can be loaded by pretty much all devices and softwares. Just on the safe side, do both PNG and JPEG. So if we go onto PNG and you can rename the image, click save, and then it will download it. It will be in your downloads. If you want to keep a series of your images, you can create an account and you can do it for free. But if you're not bothered and that, you can just close or refresh the page to start again with a new image. And there we have it. That's my dahlia right there. Looking very romantic, looking very vintagey, like warm, happy kind of colours, and so that's the kind of vibe it gives. And although you don't know your teams at the moment, it's just a good feel to just play around, have a nosy, see what you can do, see if there's any style that you really like. And then when you do get put into your teams and you're choosing like a brand theme, you can put forward, oh, I've done this, and show them what you've been doing. So I hope you've enjoyed that and it has been somewhat helpful, and I'll see you when I'll see you. Bye.